Hello, my beautiful lovelies. It's Erica from PageantPrep, and today I want to talk a little bit about what to do when your pageant is over. So, for most, there's a little bit of a lull if you didn't win, maybe some mixed emotions sometimes. And even if you did win, now is a good time for you to be thinking about nationals. It's the perfect time for you to reflect on all the positives of your experience: new friends, new environment, new skills, including interview, walking on stage, walking in heels, speaking in front of a panel, or sometimes in front of even a huge audience. Great lessons that you learned about planning, time management, budgeting, decision making. All of these are super important, not only in pageantry, but in life. So every experience, you need to remember, is a learning experience. So while it's fresh in your mind, there are a few things that you can do and should do right after your pageant. First and foremost, you want to celebrate your accomplishment, no matter what the outcome. There's a great quote by Theodore Roosevelt about those who actually get in the arena and try, and how those who are too timid will never know that feeling of bravery. Definitely check out that Roosevelt quote. Next, you want to note the areas that you felt strong in and those you felt not so strong in. So let's grab a pen and paper and let's break that down, because this is a super important exercise. First, we want to think about pre-pageant. Were you rushed? Did you feel like you were ready and prepared, or not so much? Did you set a budget? And if so, did you exceed it, go under it, meet it? Where were you in terms of finances? Do you need to adjust your budget for next time? And in what areas? Did you feel that you were in the right headspace and totally focused, or did you feel a little overwhelmed and not really calm and in control right before the pageant? Were you happy with your program book headshot, or is it maybe time to update your photograph? Now let's talk about at the pageant. So let's break down all the elements of competition, and these might be different for you depending on what pageant you had competed in. So let's talk about interview first, because it's so important and it's so critical. While it's fresh in your memory, write down the questions that you were asked and your answers if you remember them. If you're working with a coach or you're considering working with a coach, a good coach will ask you and debrief you about what happened at your last pageant experience. So having these questions and answers is super helpful. Were there any questions that you were surprised by or weren't ready for? Make sure you make a note of those so you can work on them for next time. Also, how many questions did you get in your interview? Because this will help you and your coach hopefully identify going forward the areas that you need to improve upon. If you had a lot of questions, that might be that your answer's too short. If you had not that many questions, that might be that your answers were too long. So that's very, very helpful, the number and the time limit that you were given. Let's look at opening number. Did you feel confident in opening number? Did you speak too fast for your introduction? Too soft? Too loud? All points to think about with respect to your introduction and when you say your name and usually your state, your age, or your county as part of your opening number routine. Now let's talk about fitness and evening gown. Did you feel confident or nervous? Did you walk too fast in either of those areas of competition? Did you hold your poses, or did you kind of rush through them and just hold them for a second? Did you notice if you were shaking? This is super common, and most of the time only you can feel that and we can't see it, but that'll give you a clue in terms of what your comfort level was and whether you need more practice for next time. What were your facial expressions, and were you happy with your hand and arm placement? Take a good look at those, especially if you have the video. For your talent, if you did have talent, was it flawless, or could you have used a little bit more practice time? Were there any parts of your routine that maybe were a stretch and you hadn't yet mastered, or did you feel completely good about it? You should also jot these down not only on a pen and paper, but you can use our free after pageant action sheet, which is at the link in our Instagram bio at PageantPrep on Instagram. So you just click on the link in bio and you can download the sheet. It has a checklist as well as some information about your budget. You should also, as a final tip, if you haven't already, order your pageant video, because sometimes what you think you were doing on stage is a little bit different than may have actually happened. I mean, that can be in a good way. A lot of people think that they didn't do as well as they did. Or conversely, if you thought you were doing one thing and you noticed that your right arm was swinging the whole time and your left not at all, it's a good thing for you to notice in the video when you order it. So make sure that you do that. Also, if you decide to work with a coach next time, the coach is going to find that video very, very helpful in terms of pinpointing areas that you did really well in and those that you might need to improve. So, my beautiful lovelies, I hope that this is helpful. Follow and like us for more tips or visit us at pageantprep.com. Stay beautiful.